Today, presenter engineer Urshi Clemente is an engineering manager as well as senior application engineer at Infosys Incorporated. Graduated from Bulacan State University, Philippines with a Bachelor of Science degree in civil engineering in 2010, where he was bestowed one of the top-notch in the licensure exam or board exam last November 2010. He recently received a Bentley Qualified Trainer certificate from Bentley System in 2021 and highly proficient in software such as STAT, RAM, OpenBridge, MicroStation, ProStructures, Plexis, and iTwin. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to pass the virtual microphone to our distinguished presenter, Engineer Urshi Clemente.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And to those participants who are just joining, good morning. So, we have a very exciting webinar. So, since this webinar has been overdue for too long, so this is about structural response to earthquake loads. By the way, I'm Engineer Arshi, so I'm based here in the Philippines, and I have been the trainer for DPWH for 14 years now. I've been traveling from the north to the south to the offices of the governments, so including other offices, other government offices, and other private institutions to support and to train them with structural software from Bentley. And then aside from that, we are now the Platinum Channel partner, and we are handling most of the structural softwares, including the STAD Pro, which is what we are going to discuss today. Our agenda for today is all about earthquake. So first, we are going to discuss earthquake loads. So what is earthquake and the definition of earthquake? I will also discuss the different forces induced in our structure when there is an earthquake, including the inertia forces, the damping forces, elastic forces, and ground excitation itself. Then after that, we're going to discuss the dynamic properties of structures. So including the frequency, the natural frequency of structures, period or natural period of our structures, and also a glimpse of damping ratio. Take note that this is a brief introduction for you in the world of structural dynamics. I will not delve into it deeply, but I will just introduce to you the parts where we can calculate what is related to structure design. Okay, and then the next topic is I will explain to you the single degree of freedom and the linear multiple degree of freedom systems. These two systems are essential for us to understand the response of structures due to earthquake. Okay, and then of course I will discuss to you the equation of motion needed for us to compute the response. And then next we're going to discuss the seismic wave and structural response. I will explain briefly what is seismic wave and how will our structure behave when there's an earthquake. And then next, we are going to discuss the response spectrum itself. How can we develop the response spectrum? And I will also explain the three different kinds or types of response spectrum. We have actually the acceleration response, the velocity, and the displacements. And then after that, we are going to discuss the code-based design spectra based from three different codes. So we are concerned about the ASCE 7 2016, the Eurocode 8 for Malaysia, and NSCP 2015 for the Philippines. So these three are three distinct code. So I will discuss it separately. Okay, and then lastly, of course, I will show you how to perform response spectrum analysis using STAAD Pro. Okay, so let's start with earthquake. Okay, so earthquake is the term we use to describe the intense shaking of Earth's surface. So it is a very general explanation of what earthquake is. So let's say we have here the parts of the Earth itself. So we have the inner core, which is a solid part, then the outer core, which is a liquid part, and then we have the mantle before the crust. Okay, so the mantle itself composed of two layer. The hot layer is the layer which is near outer core, and we have the plastic layer, which is the asthenosphere. So this layer is the responsible for the plastic flow. So this layer is moving continuously. The lithosphere is sitting above the plastic flow layer. So this lithosphere, or what we call the crust of the Earth, you can measure it from 40 kilometers to 300 kilometers deep. Imagine it like a composed of puzzles, which is what we call the tectonic plates. So these tectonic plates, or the puzzle pieces of the Earth crust, is affected by the plastic flow. Once it moves, the energy from that movement is released from the interface between the puzzle pieces or the tectonic plates. And that creates the earthquake. Okay, and then that earthquake is producing waves. So that waves is what we call the seismic waves. We can actually measure it using what we call the seismometer. It's like what you can see here in the picture. And then this seismometer produces a graph. So a graph composed of waves, which is the representation of how the energy from the Earth's movement is represented by those lines. So actually, those lines are essential for us to create the response spectrum, acceleration, velocity, and displacements. Let's talk about how the structure will behave, or what are the forces that acts on our structure due to earthquake. So we actually have four forces due to earthquake. You can see the diagram here. So this is a sample structure. Once the earthquake moves, so the arrow at the bottom is the representation of the ground movement. The structure itself will move. That movement is represented by this UG. And then after that movement, our structure will move due to the inertia force, due to the mass of the structure. And that is represented by the UR. And our structure will move with the total of UT. And then based from this, we can actually solve the response of our structure. So it's like a simple addition. So here are the forces that we are going to tackle for today's webinar. So first is the inertia force. So it is actually the property of a structure that makes it resist any change once there's a movement. So it's actually a function of its mass. Okay. And then next is the damping force. Okay, so what is damping? So damping force is the force that acts in opposition to the motion of a structure that is oscillating, which is a function of damping. So in this structure, the damping is represented by this dash dot icon. So the letter C represents damping. It's like if you can imagine this structure, if this structure will vibrate, it will not vibrate continuously. As the time goes on, the vibration will stop. The reason is we have a damping. So that's damping force. It's actually the force that stops the oscillation. Okay, and then of course we have the elastic force. So what is elastic force? So it is the force that allows the structure to return to its original shape. So the structure will of course deform and that it will go back to its original form. So that force is the elastic force. And it is a function of the stiffness of the structure represented by K1. Okay, and then lastly, the last force is the force induced by the ground excitation, which is the base shear. The base shear is occurring at the base of our structure. This is actually what we are calculating manually. So these are the forces that are essential for us to understand the response of our structure. So let's go ahead and discuss the properties of structure when it comes to dynamic loadings. So we have actually a few properties that we're going to discuss. So first is the natural frequency. So the natural frequency is actually the rate that a structure vibrates. Okay, so To put it simply, I have here a diagram of the structure. This is a sample structure, so we have a column supporting a mass at the top, and then the support is fixed. Let's say the structure is moving from left to right because of the ground motion. From starting position, the mass will move going to the right and then go to the left and then to its starting position. So that cycle, when you count the cycle per second, that is the frequency of this structure. So every structure has its natural frequency. So for this structure is called a single degree of freedom structure, meaning the structure will only move in one direction. So take note, the number of degrees of freedom will determine the number of natural frequency. Aside from natural frequency, of course, so I talked about the cycles per second. Okay, so if you will start the timer starting from initial position, and then you wait for it to come back to initial position, then you stop the timer. The time that it will take for one cycle is actually the period of the structure. So to put it simply, the period of our structure is the reciprocal of frequency. Okay, and then the last property that we're going to use for this webinar is the damping ratio. So it's actually a parameter that describes the level of energy dissipation. For example, for the structure, if this structure vibrates, so the vibration will dissipate. The rate of dissipation is called the damping ratio. Okay, so these three parameters or these three properties are essential for us to calculate the effect of the dynamic loads, not only for ground motion. You can also calculate the dynamic response even to other types of dynamic loads. Like, for example, you have a vibrating machine or any type of vibration, even blast loading. These three are the most essential properties of our structure for dynamic loads. Then let's discuss about what is the SDOF system or the single degree of freedom system. Just like the diagram I showed you earlier, so this diagram, the SDOF system is where we can idealize or where we can derive the equation of motion. It is an idealized or simplified model used to analyze the dynamic behavior of structure. So that's a general definition of that. To put it simply, so if we have a structure like this, so this is a typical portal. We have a beam here representing our slab. And our assumption here is this part of the structure is very rigid. Okay, so meaning this part of our structure or this element will not deform. So it will just move along the direction of the force. Okay, and then the supporting elements, the two columns, their stiffness will determine how the structure will respond to the movement. Okay, and then of course we have this dash dot icon which will represent the damping of this structure. And then the whole structure is supported at the base, which is a fixed support. So imagine we have a dynamic load represented by the force and the displacement. Okay, so for this webinar, if you see F, it means force. If you see U, it means displacement. Okay, so this is a dynamic load. So this is the representation of a single degree of freedom system. Okay, so this one is idealized because we have assumptions like the mass is rigid. So this mass will only move from left to right. From this simple frame, we can create the equation that we are going to use with what we call the equation of dynamic equilibrium. Okay, so let me show you how we can create the equation. Of course, any equation, as we know, should be equals to zero. Okay, so these are the forces acting on our structure. So we have the inertia force caused by the mass, and then we have the damping force, and then we have the stiffness or the elastic force. Also, the assumption here is we have the same size and the same material for these two columns. Okay, so that's why we have zero point 0.5 FST and zero point 0.5 FST. All of those are in opposite direction with the dynamic load. So if we are going to write the equation, it will look like this. The algebraic sum of all the force should be equal to 0. Okay, now from this equation, we can say that all the opposing forces is equal to the dynamic force. which is F sub t. And then we can now elaborate, or we can now expand on this term. So for the inertial force, we know that it is mass times acceleration. Okay, by the way, I am using U with double dot as a term for acceleration. So mass times acceleration, that's inertial force. Okay, and then for FD, this one is for damping force. If you remember earlier, we have C, the coefficient of damping. And I have here U with single dot. This means velocity. So damping multiplied by velocity is equal to force. So we have the damping force here, CU. Okay, so you have mass times acceleration, you have damping times velocity, and then the third term, this one is the elastic force. The elastic force is related to the stiffness of the structure, which is K. You have to multiply K by U. What is U? That is displacement. So the stiffness multiplied by the displacement is equal to the elastic force. Okay, we can elaborate on F sub t as well. This force is actually the mass, or the total effective weight of the structure, or total effective mass of the structure, multiplied by, so this one is acceleration as well, but I have here a notation which is g, meaning this acceleration is the ground acceleration. It is the movement of the ground. So the acceleration of the ground is not necessarily equal to the acceleration of your structure. The reason behind that is because we have a flexible structure. Okay, this expression can expand to this equation. So divide this equation by the mass. So you will have the acceleration of the structure here, and then C, which is the damping. Okay, so the damping is actually equal to twice times the damping ratio. The zeta is the damping ratio multiplied by omega. Omega is actually the natural frequency. This omega n is this expression actually, the natural frequency. Okay, let me go back here. So natural frequency is omega n. And then the natural period is t sub n actually. And then the damping ratio is zeta. Okay, so let's go back to the equation of motion. So this is the damping force. Okay, so twice times damping ratio times the natural frequency. So that will represent the damping. Okay, and then this one, the stiffness, it's actually equals to omega n, or the frequency, squared. Okay, so if you are familiar with equation for structure with free vibration, so you know that the frequency is actually the square root of stiffness divided by the mass. So from that, you can say that K, or the stiffness, is equals to omega, or the frequency squared, times the mass. So you can cancel the mass because we divide this all by the mass. So this one will remain. Okay, and then equals to the acceleration due to ground. Okay, so the only known here is the frequency of structure. You can calculate the frequency of this structure. And then you have the damping ratio. And then you have this. This is the UG, the ground acceleration. Then we can now compute the acceleration, the velocity, and the displacement. Let's go ahead and discuss the multiple degree of freedom system. Okay, so let's assume that the structure is a linear MDOF system. When I say linear, it means that once the structure is deformed, it will go back to its original form. So that's linear. Let's say we have a multiple story building like this. So this one is the best example of a multiple degree of freedom system. So we have three displacements, assuming that this is a rigid diaphragm, the first floor, second, and third. Of course, we have three displacements represented by U. So we have U1, U2, and U3. So how can we develop the equation of motion for MDOF system? So actually, we are going to simplify this to this diagram, which is a diagram that composed of lump sum of mass and a stick model. And then we will apply the dynamic force here. So we have the dynamic force 1, dynamic force 2, dynamic force 3. So this is 3. Okay, so from this simplification, we can say that the MDOF system is actually a summation of all the single degree of freedom of this system. For this structure, you can count the number of degree of freedoms here by counting the number of nodes, then multiply it by 6. So in this case, so we have 4 by 3, we have 12 nodes, then multiply it by 6. Then you have 72 SDOF equations. So the total of those SDOF equations is the solution for this MDOF system. Okay, so let's say, for example, so this is from our equation earlier. So this is the equation of motion for single degree of freedom system. So this one. We can use this equation for the multiple degree of freedom system. Then the equation will become like this. It's actually similar, but you can see that I put I here. The I represents the number of single degree of freedom in the system. But we have the factor Pi. So what is Pi? So for a multiple degree of freedom system, we just add Pi, or the mass participation factor. The meaning behind this is for every single degree of freedom, there is a mass present in every SDOF system. If we total the number of masses for every single degree of freedom in this structure, it should be equal to the total mass of the structure. Okay? So that's why we call it the mass participation factor. Okay, so that is the concept behind the MDOF system. So that is the concept behind the response of the structure. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about the seismic wave. So seismic wave, if we go back to the equation earlier, the seismic wave is related to this one, the ground acceleration, to U double dot G. Okay, this is the seismic wave. You can get it from our seismometer, and it will roughly will look like this. This one is a very famous example of a seismic wave. So this one is from the El Centro earthquake, 1940, and this one is the north-south component. Okay, you can actually get this one for free. Just go to Peer website. Okay, so we have the vertical axis representing the acceleration in terms of g. So meaning the actual acceleration divided by the gravity. Okay, the horizontal axis is the time progression in seconds. So this is the seismic wave. You can actually get this from different sources. Anyway, we are not going to use this graph InstaAd Pro. Instead, we are going to use this graph to create the response of the structure. Okay, so let's talk about structural response. So what is structural response? Actually, the structural response refers to how a building or structure reacts to external forces such as the seismic or any vibrations. So commonly, it is measured by its movement known as response displacements. Okay, so of course, once the structure move, every node in the structure will have a displacement. So that displacement is the response of the structure. Actually, we have three types of responses. We have the response acceleration. Of course, once the structure move, so the mass will move and it will accelerate. So that is the response acceleration. And then we also have the velocity. Most commonly, we are using the displacement and acceleration. Let's talk about the response spectrum itself. Okay, so to put it simply, let's refer to this diagram. So imagine we have a seismic wave here. So this seismic wave, we will apply it to a series of single degree of freedom system. Let's say this one is SDOF1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a series of single degree of freedom system with different masses and different stiffness. Take note because we have different heights. We are going to apply the same earthquake to these structures. Of course, this system will move. And each of these system, we are going to calculate for the peak acceleration or the peak response. So of course, for M1, since let's say, for example, this M1 has a huge mass, it will displace more. And then for M2, we can also calculate its displacements, and for M3, M4, and so on. So basically, you can get all the response for every single degree of freedom system here. Okay, so take note, we are only talking about a single seismic source. Okay, so from these single degrees of freedom system, we can plot the response into a diagram like this. Of course, we have different heights. So we have H1, we have H2, H3, H4, H5, and so on. You can also calculate different. So what is omega? Omega is natural frequency. So for every single degree of freedom, they have a unique frequency. Check this diagram here, the response spectrum diagram. So you can plot the frequency in the horizontal axis. So we have frequency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we are going to plot it against the maximum response for that structure. So let's say, for example, for structure with omega 1 or the frequency 1, the maximum response is about this point. So you can plot it here. And then for the structure with frequency omega 2, this structure, you can calculate its response, which is this response. So technically, we are plotting the peak responses for every single degree of freedom system. So when you plot those peak responses into a single graph like this, that diagram will form the response spectrum. Okay, so that is the definition of the response spectrum. Okay, so technically a response spectrum is a conceptual spectrum that is different from time history. It is a series of maximum time history responses, just like what I explained to you. So responses for single degree of freedom system having different natural frequency. So that is the definition of response spectrum. Imagine our structure earlier, the multiple story building. Like I said, if you have a multiple degree of freedom system, you can decompose this system into multiple single degree of freedom system. Every multiple story building, we can decompose into multiple system like this with a single mass, single stiffness, and single property. You can get a single frequency for this, a single period for this, and it has a unique damping ratio for this system. What you're going to do now is to create a multiple single degree of freedom system for that structure. You are going to plot the maximum response of that system against its frequency or period, then you can get the response spectrum. That's actually the principle behind it. So it's actually just a principle. You can do it manually. Actually, you can calculate response spectrum manually, but it is very time consuming. That's why for this webinar, I am going to show you how to do it in STAAD Pro. Okay, so now that we know how the response spectrum is formed, we can now perform the response spectrum analysis. Okay, so it's actually one of the method of dynamic analysis for determining peak response of the entities of a structure. Okay, by the way, the equivalent lateral force procedure or the manual calculation we do with seismic, it's just a simplified form of response spectrum analysis. Okay, so for this kind of analysis, the response spectrum analysis, instead of using the ground acceleration, we are going to use the response spectrum diagram to get the acceleration we needed to calculate the base shear. Okay, so like for example, we are going to analyze our structure. We will get a period of the structure, and then you're going to use this graph, look for the period here, and then use this graph to check for the response. You can get the acceleration, and that acceleration is the acceleration of the seismic. You are going to multiply it by the structural mass, then you will get the base shear. Okay, so let me show you the workflow. Okay, so now we are going to use STAAD Pro. Okay, by the way, I am using the latest version of STAAD, which is the 2023 version. So before we perform the analysis, we need to check first the inputs required for the RSA, or the response spectrum analysis. Okay, so first, we have to calculate for the weights for calculating frequencies and modes. So this one is called the mass modeling. So of course, when we say mass modeling, this one includes all the dead load of the structure plus the percentage of live load. Okay, so meaning the mass model of the structure is the mass that is going to vibrate when subjected to earthquake. And then after defining the effective seismic weight or the mass model, then we are going to define the spectrum command along with its parameters. Okay, so this spectrum command, this one will depend on the code. Okay, so anyway, I will show you later the different spectrum command and its parameters. Okay, and then aside from that, of course, you need the spectral data pairs. Okay, so what is the spectral data pairs? So this is the spectral data pairs I already discussed to you earlier. So the data pairs is the information you get from the graph. Okay, so let's say for example, for omega 1, its pair is this acceleration. For omega 2, its pair is this acceleration. For omega 3, its pair is this acceleration. So that is the spectral data pairs that we needed. Okay, so next is, of course, we need to define the model combination method. I will explain to you later the different model combination methods that are used in response spectrum analysis. So now we can now perform the response spectrum. Okay, so first we discuss about the mass model. Okay, so the mass model of the structure is, like I said, that is the total dead load and portion of live load. So this one is called mass modeling, but the input in STAAD Pro, we are going to use weights because STAAD Pro will automatically divide it by the acceleration due to gravity to convert it to mass. So we don't have to input mass. The important thing is we have to input the absolute values of the weights because STAAD Pro will calculate the algebraic sum of all the dead loads and live loads to calculate the maximum total weight. Okay, so to show you, let's say we have this model. So the property is just 0.5 by 0.5, the column, and then the beam is just 0.3 by 0.45. So to show you, it is a simple concrete building. Okay, and then of course I defined the material and then the specifications. I already defined the reduction factor for this. Okay, so remember earlier when I explained to you the concept of single degree of freedom, I specifically said that we must assume that the slabs must be rigid. So that's why I defined these levels as rigid diaphragm. So you can check, I have a definition here in specifications dialog box. I defined diaphragm 1, 2, and 3. So I make it rigid, rigid, and rigid. Okay, and then of course, I also specified the supports. Okay, so the supports is just all fixed at the base of the structure. And let me proceed with the loading. Okay, so for the loading, you can check my definitions here. So take note, the workflow here in STAAD Pro, if you are going to define the response spectrum, is first, you need to use the reference load definitions. Reference load definitions is used for us to define the mass model. Okay, so you can see I have R1 here and it says here mass model. Take note, when defining mass model, you can see I defined direction X, Y, and Z for every single one of this. Okay, so what is the reason behind this? Okay, so technically, we are just defining the mass of the structure. And with this, we are defining that the mass can move along X, along Y, and along Z direction. I am talking about global direction. Okay? So the mass model is defined. We specifically defined it to move along X, along Y, and along Z. Okay? So take note, reference load is just a definition of mass model. This is not yet the loading of your structure. This is just the definition of the mass. Okay? And we allow the mass to move in three directions. So that's the direction of the vibration of our structure once there is a seismic load. Okay, so I define the self weight, of course. I define the floor loads, which is the slabs. And then I also defined some of my live load here. And then the line load, the wall loads and parapet. So it's up to you, whatever your loadings, you should define it here like this. Okay, in three direction. Okay, so to put it simply, let me go back to my presentation. So I specifically define here that all possible directions of vibration should be specified. So that's why I defined X, Y, and Z direction. Okay? And take note also of this. Provide absolute values. So if we go back to my model, I only use positive forces. Okay? So that's the definition of the mass model. Once you define the reference load, once you're done, you can now go ahead with the load cases details. So specifically for load cases details, you just define a single load case where you are going to specify the response spectrum load. This is a simplified model, so I will not complete this model. I will not add dead load, live load, and wind load here. I will just show you how to add a response spectrum load case. So as you can see here, I have a response spectrum load case along Z direction. Okay, so take note, you are allowed to define multiple response spectrum load case in a single STAAD model. So in this case, I defined the response of the structure along Z. Of course, you are going to define the response of the structure along X direction as well. Okay, so let's discuss how it is defined. Let's say I am going to, since I already defined along Z, let me define another one for along X. Of course, if you are going to complete your structure, the loading type should be seismic H. But for now, it doesn't matter because I'll just show you how it's done. Okay, you just add that. And then let's say your load case number 2 is the response spectrum load along X. Okay, so highlight the load case, then click add button. And then in this dialog box, you just look for response spectra item. So since this model is specific for Eurocode, I will change the code to Eurocode 8, 2004. And then you can see the different parameters here for Eurocode. These table represent the data pairs. You have your period, you have your acceleration. It's actually pre-computed by STAAD based from the parameters you used here. So for Eurocode, you don't have to input or to calculate this manually. STAAD will automatically compute this based from the parameters. So it's really easy to input Eurocode response spectrum in STAAD Pro because it is pre-computed. You already have your response spectrum graph here. Okay, so anyway, if you want to do it manually, you can actually just Google Eurocode 8 and then Eurocode has the calculator for you. Okay, so you can just go to Eurocode 8. They have their official website. Then you just input your shape of the response spectrum. So it depends on what is the type of response spectrum you're going to use. Okay, and then the direction, input your reference peak ground acceleration, then your importance factor for your structure, then your zeta. Remember this value earlier? Zeta is the damping ratio. Zeta. Okay, and then your ground. Okay, and then there is a button below saying calculate. Then it will produce this diagram and it will give you the spectral data pairs. So it's actually pre-calculated for you. And then that data pairs is exactly this one. Okay, so let me explain the parameters used in response spectrum command. Okay, so we have here the load type. For Eurocode, you have the option to create a load type for elastic and design. Okay, so when we say elastic, we are assuming that the structure is linear and elastic. And when we choose design, you are assuming that the structure is in its inelastic stage. Okay? So if you are going to design for ductility, you should choose design. Okay, and then you have two type. You have type 1 and type 2. So basically type 1 is for high seismic zone and type 2 is for low seismic zone areas. Okay, so in Malaysia, you have to check where your structure is located. Okay, so commonly we are using elastic and type 1. Okay, so next for the response spectrum table. So for the response spectrum table, for the design ground acceleration, you are going to use 1, meaning the multiplier for the acceleration due to gravity is just 1. You don't have to change this. And then next is the behavior factor. So what is behavior factor? So this is for Eurocode only. Behavior factor is like a factor we used for different type of structure. So if your structure is special resisting frame like this, the behavior factor is 3. But for your regular structure, mostly we use 1.5. So behavior factor is the factor to adjust the acceleration zone. Okay, by the way, the response spectrum has 3 zones. So for Eurocode, you can divide it into 3 zones. So this zone is the acceleration zone. Then from, let me change my color. Okay. Then from this zone up to here, this one is the velocity zone. And then the last zone is from this one up to here. This is the displacement sensitive zone. So actually, this graph relates to the height of the building. The higher your building, the further your period will be. Okay? So let's say for this building, if you have, let's say, for example, 2-story to 10-story building, your period should lie up to here, zero point 0.7. If you have higher buildings, your period will go up to 8 seconds. Okay, so meaning if you have a tall building, once the ground move, the building will sway. And the time it takes for the top of the structure to do one cycle is 8 seconds. That's a flexible building. Okay? So if you have that kind of building, that building is displacement sensitive building. So which is the period is about here, this zone. Okay, so mostly for this type of structure, for maybe commercial building, residential building, or any structure up to 6 stories, that's acceleration sensitive. So up to here, you are going to expect your period to use this zone. So that's why for acceleration sensitive building or for mid-story to low story building, the behavior factor is needed. Okay, because the behavior factor only affects this part. That's behavior factor. And then of course, subsoil class. The subsoil class is the class of soil, meaning class A is the hardest type. So let's say it's type B, for example, for this model. Okay, and then for Eurocode response spectrum, the only spectrum type we are going to use is acceleration. Remember, we have 3 types. So we have acceleration, velocity, and displacement. For Eurocode, you are only going to use acceleration. And then for interpolation type, so what do you mean by interpolation? Okay, so remember we have our graph here. So what the software will do is the software will calculate period and then it will look for the period here in this axis. Okay, so let's say, for example, the period that STAAD calculates is about here. So this is your period, the period of your structure. So to determine the acceleration, so you just have to check it here in the graph. It will look for this point. So from the known points, which is this point and this point, STAAD will use interpolation to calculate exactly the point where the acceleration should be. Okay, so that's interpolation. So usually we are using linear. If the graph is logarithmic, you use logarithmic. But most of the time, it's linear. And then we go ahead and discuss about the damping type that you are going to use. Because you have three types of damping here. You have damping, you have composite damping or C dump, then you have M dump. For this structure, I'm going to use damping. Okay, so when you use damping, you are going to specify the damping ratio that you are going to use. So this is the rule. If the structure is concrete, you use 0.05 or 5% damping. If the structure is steel, you use 0.03. If you are modeling different materials, let's say, for example, the first story is concrete and then the remaining stories are steel, you will use composite damping instead. Okay, so composite damping is used for different types of material. So STAAD will calculate the damping based on the assigned material. Okay, so be careful if you are using C dump, you have to define the materials properly here in materials page. Okay, and then lastly, the most accurate type of damping is the M dump or the modal damping. So in this case, we can get multiple hundreds of single degree of freedom system. Take note that every single degree of freedom system for this structure, it has a unique damping ratio. Okay, so that is the use of MDAMP. So STAAD will calculate every damping ratio for every single degree of freedom in that system. So that's MDAMP. Okay, so for this example, I use MDAMP. Okay, and then the last part is the direction or the directionality factor. Okay, so take note that our load case number 2 is along X. So our concern is the response of our structure along X direction. So what is the response along X direction? It simply says that we have to check the checkbox for X direction and you just input the scale of 1. Then, next one, we have here a signed response spectrum result. So what does it mean? Okay, so by default, it is unsigned. So take note that the response spectrum result is always positive along that direction. Let's say, for example, if you want to create a combination with the effect of the response spectrum along negative direction, that is where you are going to use a signed response spectra. Okay? But commonly, we use unsigned response spectra, and for the negative effect, we are just going to create a load combination and we just put a factor of -1 to account for negative direction. Okay, so use unassigned. Okay, and then this checkbox, the individual model response load case generation, commonly we are not using this one. Instead, we are letting STAAD Pro to create the result of the response spectrum by using the combination method. So STAAD Pro will do the model combination for us. We just have to choose which type of model combination to be used. So we have different model combinations. Okay, so SRSS is the most commonly used one, meaning that is the square root of the sum of squares of all the result of all your modes. Take note that SRSS is used for rectangular structure. If the plan of your structure is mostly circular or square, we are using CQC or the complete quadratic combination method. Okay? Because if you have a circular or square plan, you have a closely spaced modes. Okay? So this is the only two that are used in response spectrum analysis. SRSS for rectangular and then CQC for square or circular. So let's go back to StatPro. So make sure that your combination method is SRSS. And then lastly, we have the others. So these parameters is common for all the codes. So you have the missing mass and then zero period acceleration. I said that for every mode, let's say for example, we're talking about this structure. Let's say this structure has only 4 single degree of freedom. And you decide to only use these three. Take note you have mass 1, mass 2, mass 3, and mass 4. So the total of these masses is the total mass of your structure. If you are going to use only 3, the other one will be the missing mass. So that's the only time you are going to check for the missing mass. So the input here is the acceleration for that missing mass. And then if you check this and you just leave it like that, the acceleration that STAAD will use for your missing mass is the acceleration corresponding to the zero period acceleration, which is 33 hertz. So most of the time the missing mass is very negligible, so we don't have to check this. Okay, so actually that's all. You just have to add this and then close. And then you have defined your response spectrum. Lastly, after you define your response spectrum parameters, you have to again select your load case number 2 because you have to define the mass model. Okay, so just highlight number 2 and then add, and then we are going to use the one we defined in reference load. So use the repeat load command, then select reference load case. Then we are going to use the mass model we defined earlier. Make sure that you are using positive 1 as your factor. Then add this, then close. Then technically for load case number 2, you have 2 items. First is your response spectrum parameter, and then second is your mass model. So you only need these two for the software to calculate for the response spectrum. Okay, so let me analyze this and then I'll show you the result. Okay, so let's go to output file and then check our result. So basically, STAAD Pro will show you the eigen solution. So this is your eigen solution. STAAD Pro will calculate the frequency. So remember earlier, I told you the number of mode shapes or the number of SDOF system. So in this case, my model considered 15 single degree of freedom, 15 single degree of freedom model, and then with its corresponding frequency and period there. Okay, so you can see that for SDOF number 15 or for mode number 15, the frequency is 24 or the period is 0.04 seconds. And for mode number 1, it's 0.5 seconds. Okay, so and then you can also see here the calculation for the response spectrum load case. Take note, for mode number 1, you can get the generalized weight or the mass that is included for mode number 1. So this mass is this. Okay, that is for mode number 1. Okay, then for mode number 2, this is the mass. Basically the weight or the mass for every mode. And then we have here the calculation for the damping. Remember, we chose the mdamp parameter, model damping. So STAAD Pro calculates the damping for every individual SDOF system in that model. So for the first one, 0.02, second one 0.02, and then for the remaining, you can see most of it is in 0.05, which is concrete. Okay, and then the next one is the modal-based action. So basically, STAAD Pro calculated the moments So this one is the load case number 1. So you can only see FZ here. This one is the response spectrum along Z. So this is the Z in kilonewton. So you can just check here the moment about X and moment about Y. So this is the moment from the base of the structure, based from the mode number. Okay, and then the most important bit here is the mass participation factors, where we should check the total. So you can see for mode number 1, the percentage of mass used is only 68%. So only 68% of the mass is vibrating for mode number 1. According to the code, all the codes, even international codes, said that we should consider at least 90% of the mass participating in the response spectrum analysis. That's why I considered 15. Actually, you can consider only 13 modes because 13 is enough because you can reach the summation in X to 90.474% and then in summation in Z to 94.867%. So, but I use 15 to make it sure to consider more than 90%. Okay? And then the total is the base shear. So you are only concerned about the total SRSS shear. So this is the shear of your structure. Okay? So that's how you use the response spectrum command in StatPro to get the base shear. Okay? And then of course, it will automatically distribute the forces to your members. Then you can proceed with your design and analysis. If I scroll down, you can see here my response load case number 2. So this is along, I think this one is along X. You can see here, the base shear is along X. So that is how you do the response spectrum using the Eurocode. Actually, I already prepared the one for ASCE. There is an additional step for ASCE and NSCP. You need to define again the reference load for the mass model. Same with Eurocode. This is exactly like the Eurocode one. And you need to also define the effective seismic weight. Okay, so mass model is different from effective seismic weight. In mass model, you have to include all directions, X, Y, and Z. And in effective seismic weight, you need only the direction Y, the gravity loads alone. We only use the effective seismic weight for the equivalent lateral force procedure, the manual calculation for seismic. So the additional step is to provide a seismic definition for equivalent lateral force procedure. So I just defined it here. And then you have two load cases, the static seismic load and you have a response spectrum load case. Okay, so the static load is simply just the IBC load. And then the response spectrum load case is technically the same with Eurocode. Okay, so it's pre-computed for response spectrum for ASCE. You already have your pairs here, your period and acceleration. And then you just have to input your FA and FV and your site class depending on the soil on the site. Okay, and then the rest is the same with my explanation earlier with Eurocode. Okay, and then you will get this graph, then you will just have to add it. And then you need to add the reference load again to complete the response spectrum load case. Why do we have to add the static seismic load case? Okay, so the static seismic load case for ASCE is used to scale the result of the response spectrum. Okay, so if we are going to analyze this, okay, let me analyze it first. So you can check your output. So this is the base shear, the design base shear for static analysis. So you did this one to scale down or to scale up your result for the response spectrum. So to check, just double click the participation factors. Then you can see here. So you have this shear. So this shear should be the same with the result of the static load. So you should scale this down. So that's the additional step. So you just have to multiply the scale by, okay, let me calculate this one for you. Okay, so 956.9 this result, the design base shear from static load, and then you just have to divide it by that base shear from response spectrum, this one. Okay, so the result is 0.122. So that is the scale that we are going to use. So how do we apply that? Go to your loading, then go back to your response spectrum load case. We just have to edit our parameters. Okay, and then we change the scale here in the direction. So we use 0.122351. So this is the computed scale. So that's the final scale. You have to modify that. Then yes, then close. Then once you analyze it again, you are done with your response spectrum analysis. So we have 956.9 for the static one. The base shear for your response spectrum should be the same. So 956.9. Okay, so provided that your mass participation is more than 90%. Okay, so that's how you perform the response spectrum for ASCE. And then lastly, for NSCP, so I already prepared my NSCP here. So it's actually similar with ASCE. So for NSCP, go to your definition, you have your reference, you have your mass model, exactly the same with Eurocode and ASCE. And then you have your effective seismic weight, which is along y direction alone. Then you have to define your static seismic parameters, which is UBC 1997 for NSCP 2015. And then for load case, you need two. So one for static, one for response spectrum. So for static, you simply add UBC load along that direction. For response spectrum, the parameter should look like this. So since in STAAD Pro we don't have NSCP 2015, you have to use the custom one. Okay? The rest will be the same. The only difference is your data pair should be calculated manually. You can actually do this by following the NSCP 2015 code. So you can create this diagram. Okay, so you just have to follow. You can calculate the CA, you can calculate your CV, so you can produce the data pairs to do this diagram in Excel. And I already calculated this one based from my values and parameters. And then I just pasted it here. So the period and acceleration. And then for NSCP 2015 spectrum command, so you have to use the scale. So this is exactly like the scale I used earlier. So you have to get the ratio of the result of the base shear from your static divided by the base shear from your response spectrum, and that will be your scale factor. You can use the scale or you can change this so it's just the same, the result's the same. And then you just have to run analysis, and then you will get the same base shear from your static load case and your response spectrum load case. So let me show you. Okay, so this is the base shear for your UBC load case, 1047.16. And then you have your base shear for the response spectrum analysis, which is here, 1047.16 kilonewton. So that's how you do it in STAAD Pro. Okay, so when using response spectrum analysis, so the most important part here is the model combination. Okay, so again, we use SRSS mostly for our structure, specifically for rectangular one. For square and circular structure, so the general rule is to use CQC. Take note that response spectrum analysis is very elaborate and very advanced type of analysis. So we technically use this one for irregular structure. So you have to check the codes for the criteria, specifically the irregularity of the building. But generally, if you have the knowledge of how response spectrum is derived, just like I discussed earlier, most likely you can perform response spectrum. Okay, so I think that's my time. I already discussed everything from my side. I'll give my mic to Huga.
Thank you so much, Engineer Sheikh Clemente. I want to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude for your outstanding webinar presentation. So I think we'll end today's section. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope to see you in the next section, whatsoever that we have planned. And hopefully we can have better and also more powerful topics to discuss. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.